Alright, today we're just going to look at the rules for multiplication and see if you remember them. And then we're going to look at them with decimals and with fractions. So do you remember these rules? A positive times a positive equals a positive. A positive times a negative equals a negative. A negative times a positive equals a negative. And a negative times a negative equals a positive. If you don't remember these rules, you might want to take a few minutes to go back and look at your notes from Unit 1. Alright, so what happens when we have 1/2 times negative 3/4? Well, we know our answer is going to be negative because it's a positive times a negative. And then we can simply multiply across. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 4 is 8. And it's negative 3/8. If you need a little bit of work on fractions, make sure you see your teacher. What do we do if we have this one? Wait, did I put my sign on the last one? Yes, I did. Okay. What do we do on this one? Well, we have a negative times a negative, so our answer is going to be positive. But we're going to change them both to improper fractions. So we're going to do 3 times 2 is 6, 7, 8. So it's going to be negative 8/3 times 4 times 4 is 16 plus the 3 on top, 16, 17, 18, 19, negative 19/3. So when we do this one, we're going to get a positive answer. 19 times 8, 72, carry my 7, 152, 152 over 9. I sure hope that's right. And I'm going to leave it as an improper fraction because a lot of times in algebra, we need the improper fraction. Okay, what do we do on this one? Well, it's a negative times a negative, so our answer will be positive. Now, when we multiply, we do 3.6 and 2.3. I use the commutative property and switch them around a little bit there. So we're going to go 6 times 8 is 8, or 6 times 3 is 18, carry my 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12, carry my 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And on this one, we get an answer of 828. Is that right? How in the world would 3 times 2 be 828? It's not. So we go up here and we count the number of numbers behind the decimal. There's one number, two numbers. So our answer should have two numbers behind the decimal. So our answer is 8.28. Okay, this next one, I'm going to show you what we call simplifying before we multiply. Now, we could multiply all those numbers out. Or we can simplify before we multiply. If we multiply all those numbers out, we would end up with 6 over 24, and it would be negative, because this is a negative times a negative, gets a positive. And then a positive times a negative would be a negative. So, or I could do this. And this is a little bit fun to do. I'm going to simplify before I multiply. Are there factors in the numerator that are also in the denominator? Well, here's a 2 in the numerator and a 2 in the denominator. So I'm going to factor those out. Over here we have a 3 and a 3. I'm going to factor those out, and I end up with an answer of 1/4, and remember I said it would be negative. Over here, what I can do to simplify is divide it by 6 over 6, and end up with negative 1/4. Pretty cool. So that's basically just a little bit of multiplying with the rules. If you need help with multiplying fractions or decimals, make sure you see your teacher.